Although Princess Diana passed away more than 25 years ago, her legacy continues to resonate deeply with people around the world. This enduring connection isn't solely due to the shocking and untimely nature of her death, but also because of the lingering uncertainties that still surround the circumstances. The devastating crash in Paris's Pont de l'Alma tunnel on that tragic night in 1997 not only ended the life of an international figure, but also sparked ongoing questions that remain unanswered to this day. Why was the vehicle traveling at such a perilous speed? Was it truly a case of the driver losing control, or was there an external force influencing the situation? Most crucially, who was pursuing Diana that night, denying her a final moment of tranquility? These lingering questions have never been fully addressed, and it is this ongoing silence that has fueled widespread belief that a deeper truth may be concealed behind what happened. If you find this story intriguing, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, type 0. Remember to like and share the video, and feel free to share your opinions in the comments. We're eager to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming exciting videos. Now let's jump right into the story. For decades, conspiracy theories have been woven deeply into every discussion about Diana. A large number of people believe her death wasn't just an accident, but rather the outcome of a deliberate scheme. They argue that because Diana defied the conventional role of a royal, boldly voicing her opinions and living more like an everyday person, she posed a danger to those intent on maintaining strict control over the status quo. Yet until now, no one connected to the case has come forward publicly. There has never been an official admission until Diana's son, Prince William, stunned the world. In a profoundly emotional moment, he broke down in tears while openly expressing his conviction about who was responsible for his mother's death. His words were not just those of a grieving son, but the heartfelt testimony of someone who grew up surrounded by loss and unanswered questions. That confession hit like a seismic shock, rattling the beliefs of millions. All the stage narratives and official statements suddenly seemed insignificant next to the raw emotions of a son yearning for the truth. William's revelation sent tremors through the royal family. This was far more than a private family issue. It was a truth with the power to reshape an entire generation's understanding of what truly unfolded behind the palace's majestic walls. Diana was always remarkable to the public, not merely for her royal title or striking looks, but for the genuine warmth and compassion she shared. She never hesitated to tackle difficult subjects or shy away from the suffering of others. Whether visiting hospitals, orphanages, HIV/AIDS clinics, or neglected poor communities, she arrived wholeheartedly not for show, but to listen and genuinely connect with every person she met. People admired her, not because of her royal status, but for her deep compassion. Her warm smile, caring gaze, and the way she would kneel to hold the hand of an ordinary patient all painted the picture of the people's princess, as the late Prime Minister Tony Blair famously described her. To the public, she was more than a symbol. She was a living embodiment of hope and kindness amid a world often marked by injustice. Beneath that strong exterior, however, was a lonely woman. What once appeared as a modern fairy tale marriage to Prince Charles gradually turned into days filled with sorrow and heartache. Diana endured coldness, betrayal, and the rigid expectations of the royal family, which left her feeling more and more isolated. Many nights were spent in tears, and she often expressed the pain of feeling pushed aside in her own life. Above all, she was a devoted mother pouring her entire heart into her two sons. William and Harry were her reason to keep going and to keep fighting. She taught them to love deeply and to view the world with compassion, not from a royal throne. Her maternal love was so profound that even after her death, her influence continues to shape their lives and choices. That's why William's tearful confession is more than just a revelation of truth. It's a final act of safeguarding the memory of their mother, a woman who loved him without condition but never received the protection she desperately needed. Despite the many challenges Diana faced throughout her life, she consistently put her two sons, William and Harry, at the heart of everything. Guided by unconditional love and a strong maternal instinct, she did whatever it took to protect and raise them in her own unique way, breaking from royal traditions like never before. Diana believed that for William and Harry to grow into good people, they needed to truly understand the real world, the world of everyday people. She didn't want her sons to become golden cages on legs, isolated from reality and trapped by the rigid traditions of royalty. Instead of allowing their lives to be restricted by protocol, she created simple but meaningful moments, taking them to fast food restaurants like any other kids, holding their hands during walks in public parks, and arranging spontaneous trips beyond the official royal agenda. Those seemingly small moments became treasured memories for William and Harry, times when they could experience life like any other children, moments their mother genuinely listened, laughed, and connected with them without the constraints of protocol or watchful eyes. For the two princes, these were unforgettable proofs of a mother's love, a love that no royal title could ever replace. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, near Sandringham, England. She hailed from an aristocratic lineage as the daughter of Edward John Spencer VIII, Earl Spencer, and Frances Ruth Burke Roche, who later became Lady Frances Shand Kidd. When her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer in 1975, Diana earned the courtesy title Lady Diana Spencer. Her family included 4 children, 2 older sisters, Jane Fellows and Sarah McCorquodale, and a younger brother, Charles Spencer, who later became the 9th Earl Spencer. Another brother, John, tragically died shortly after birth, just 1 year before Diana was born, leaving a quiet void filled with grief in the family. Both of Diana's grandmothers, Cynthia Spencer and Ruth Roche, served as ladies-in-waiting in the royal household, directly attending Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Because of this, although she was not born in a palace, Diana was raised surrounded by aristocratic influence and the constant presence of royalty. However, her childhood was far from the peaceful life often associated with aristocracy. Her parents' marriage was filled with deep conflicts, partly because of the pressure to have a son to inherit the title. Before her younger brother Charles was born, her mother Frances faced intense pressure from her in-laws, an issue that played a role in the marriage's collapse. In the end, Diana's parents divorced when she was still very young. After the divorce, Diana's father gained custody of all 4 children. He later remarried Reine, the Countess of Dartmouth, a woman Diana never really got along with. Their tense relationship lasted for many years and was one of the reasons Diana felt her childhood was unhappy. She described her upbringing as extremely unstable, emotionally empty, and cold. Diana attended Riddlesworth Hall, a private girls' school, before transferring to Westheath School, where she continued her education through her teenage years. Although she wasn't known for outstanding academic achievements, she always stood out for her kindness, sensitivity, and empathy. These traits later became the foundation of the unique role she played in the public eye, a princess who was approachable, genuine, and possessed a rare, compassionate heart. Though a somewhat shy girl, Diana always had a special love for music and dance spaces where she found joy and freedom. After finishing her studies at the Alpine Institute in Switzerland, she moved to London, working first as a nanny and later as an assistant at a kindergarten. Her passion for children was clear both in her job and in the way she lived her life. Diana first met Prince Charles when he was dating her sister, but it wasn't until 1980 that they truly grew closer and began a relationship that captured massive media attention. Despite their 13-year age gap, they became engaged just a few months later. Charles proposed with a stunning sapphire ring inspired by Queen Victoria's jewelry. This proposal marked the start of one of the century's biggest events, their royal wedding on July 29, 1981, at St. Paul's Cathedral, watched by more than 1 billion people around the world. Diana's wedding dress, decorated with thousands of pearls and a 25-foot-long veil, became an iconic symbol of the era. After the wedding, Diana officially became the Princess of Wales and entered a royal life filled with pressure. However, instead of merely following protocol, she created her own path, becoming a voice for the vulnerable. Diana became well known for her compassion and charity work, especially with the homeless HIV/AIDS patients and disadvantaged children. She never hesitated to get close to people, touching their lives with genuine compassion and breaking through the barriers traditionally upheld by the royal family. Her life was a mix of fame and sacrifice, glamour and quiet pain. Above all, she is remembered as a woman with a kind heart, always choosing love despite royal expectations. Everyone who knew Princess Diana, whether through photos, media, or stories, held deep admiration for her. Her gentle beauty, grace, and compassion made her an icon beyond any royal limits. Yet on one fateful night, everything changed forever. On the night of August 31st, 1997, the world was stunned by the news that Princess Diana, a beloved woman known for her compassion and tireless charity work, had died in a tragic car accident in Paris. She was only 36 years old. The crash took the lives of Diana, her boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed, and their driver Henry Paul. According to official reports, Henry was driving under the influence of alcohol and speeding to escape the relentless pursuit of paparazzi chasing them. Dodi Al-Fayed was the son of billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed. After Diana divorced Prince Charles, she and Dodi began a romantic relationship. They spent the summer together, enjoying time on a yacht along the French Riviera. But when they returned to Paris, their private life remained under the constant watch of paparazzi. That evening, they stayed at the Ritz Hotel owned by Dodi's family. After a late dinner to avoid media attention, they left the hotel through a back exit, got into a black Mercedes, and headed into the night. Just minutes later, the car sped through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, chased closely by flashing camera lights and the roar of pursuing photographers' engines. The car lost control and crashed violently into a concrete pillar inside the tunnel. Dodi and the driver died instantly. Diana was still alive when taken into the ambulance, but did not survive. Her death was not only a heartbreaking loss, but also the start of countless questions, doubts, and conspiracy theories that have lasted for decades. Why were they being chased so relentlessly? Was Henri Paul really drunk? And was it just an accident? Or was there something more behind it? Footage from the hotel's security cameras showed Henri Paul walking normally with no signs of intoxication, as the initial reports claimed. From there, public skepticism grew. Was this really just a traffic accident? Could Princess Diana's death be the result of a hidden truth never revealed? The big question remains: why would an experienced man like Henri Paul, the security chief of a prestigious hotel, make such a risky decision? Why would he drive in a dangerous state, carrying one of the world's most famous and beloved women just to escape a few photographers? For many, the simple explanation is that it was an accident caused by reckless driving under the pressure of the media. But for independent investigators and conspiracy believers, the picture is different, deeper, more complex, and more unsettling. One of the most controversial theories is that the crash was not a random event, but the result of a carefully planned conspiracy. Supporters of this view believe that powerful forces did not want the relationship between Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed to continue. A relationship between a royal family member and a wealthy Middle Eastern Muslim, according to some, was unacceptable to the conservative British elite at the time. Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, publicly accused the British royal family of interference, fearing that the monarchy's reputation and image would be damaged if Diana married someone outside the white Christian aristocracy. He claimed that his son and Diana were planning to marry and even suggested she was pregnant. Although no concrete evidence has ever been found to support this, his statement sparked a strong wave of suspicion and doubt. Despite widespread suspicions, the official French investigation in 1999 and the subsequent British inquiry in 2008 both concluded that the accident was caused by drunk driving combined with excessive speed. However, conspiracy theorists argue that the investigation reports failed to clarify all the unclear aspects of the case details that led them to question the true transparency of the entire process. One of the unresolved mysteries is the presence of a white Fiat Uno. According to witnesses and physical evidence, this car is believed to have lightly collided with the Mercedes carrying Diana just before they entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. This Fiat was never found. The driver never came forward. Even more strangely, the white paint found on Diana's car, the most crucial evidence to trace the incident, mysteriously disappeared from police storage before the audit. The disappearance of this evidence has fueled public suspicion. If it was truly just a traffic accident, why was such a crucial detail not properly preserved? And if no one intended to cover anything up, why have so many related data vanished or become inaccessible? Moreover, another strange detail intensified the doubts. The security cameras at the tunnel entrance, which should have recorded the entire accident, stopped working exactly at the time of the incident. This technical failure was eerily coincidental. Conspiracy theorists call this the time blackout, the moment when the truth that should have been preserved completely disappeared. Suspicion deepened when Richard Tomlinson, a former MI6 agent, came forward. He claimed to have seen an internal document describing a plan to assassinate a high-profile figure by staging a car accident in a narrow tunnel. According to him, the description closely matched what happened at the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. While he did not directly confirm that this plan was carried out against Diana, his testimony sent chills and raised even more questions. However, official investigators dismissed Tomlinson's claims due to a lack of concrete physical evidence. They considered it mere speculation without legal basis. Yet for those who have always doubted the investigation's conclusions, the inability to uncover new evidence is itself a sign that something has been meticulously hidden. Diana was once the most closely watched woman on the planet, with every step of hers relentlessly pursued by the press and cameras. Yet in the most fateful moment, the moment that took her life, there was no footage, no sound, no concrete evidence. Just a chilling silence in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. It is precisely this silence, along with a series of unclear details, that has made Princess Diana's death one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century. And even now, many years later, that question quietly remains in the hearts of millions: what truly happened that night. Diana was once the most closely watched woman on the planet, with every step of hers relentlessly pursued by the press and cameras. Yet in the most fateful moment, the moment that took her life, there was no footage, no sound, no concrete evidence. Just a chilling silence in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. It is precisely this silence, along with a series of unclear details, that has made Princess Diana's death one of the most haunting mysteries of the 20th century. And even now, many years later, that question quietly remains in the hearts of millions: what truly happened that night. Meanwhile, the coroner's office revealed that Diana's seatbelt was not fastened properly, a crucial factor contributing to her tragic death. This raises the question: how could a mother who always protected her children with all her heart be so careless? Some media analysts argue that blaming her for not wearing a seatbelt was merely an attempt to divert public attention away from the gaps and mistakes in the official investigation. The deeper we dig into the matter, the more complex and mysterious the web of interests surrounding Diana becomes. There are media corporations exploiting her image, for-profit politicians trying to cover up scandals linked to the royal family, and even extremist groups opposing relationships between Muslims and Christians. All of these seem to form a secret curtain shrouding Diana's death. The first three witnesses at the accident scene, Dr. Frederick Malls, photographer Ronald Ratt, and taxi driver George Barman, initially testified that there were hardly any paparazzi around the tunnel area, completely contradicting media reports. They even described the scene as empty and strange. However, later, two of them retracted their statements, making the story even more vague and confusing. More than 2 decades have passed, with 4 major investigations and thousands of pages of documents released. Yet the official conclusion remains that it was a simple accident. However, every year, as millions of flowers are laid outside Kensington Palace on the anniversary, as Diana's unpublished diaries continue to capture public attention, and as Prince William and Prince Harry gradually express doubts about the integrity of the case files, the story behind the princess's death continues to smolder like a flame that refuses to be extinguished. Perhaps that is why every clue, no matter how small, has been relentlessly pursued, drawing endless attention from the public and the media. People don't just want to know who caused the Mercedes to speed out of control on that fateful night. They also want to uncover who silenced the compassionate heart of the people's princess. Because when Diana left us, the world lost not only a fashion icon and a symbol of compassion, but also a powerful voice, a resilient emblem in the fight against injustice and prejudice. And even now, her story remains an unsolved mystery, waiting for the day the truth will finally be revealed. Diana lost a hand that once reached out to AIDS patients at a time when the world was filled with prejudice and stigma. That loss, along with the unanswered questions, turned the accident into a deep scar in the memory of both England and the global community. Until the full truth is revealed, the story behind her death continues to haunt and inspire those seeking justice worldwide in their relentless journey to find answers. Many people are dissatisfied with the simple explanation that it was just an accident. Mohammed al-Fayed, father of Dodi al-Fayed, is one of the strongest proponents of conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's death. He claimed that Diana and Dodi were assassinated by British intelligence, possibly under the orders of Prince Philip, to prevent Diana from marrying a Muslim and having his children. Mohammed al-Fayed also asserted that Diana was pregnant and that the couple planned to get engaged. Some believe that Henri Paul, the driver of the Mercedes, was an agent of British or French intelligence, and that his alleged intoxication was either exaggerated or staged. The absence of crucial CCTV footage related to the accident and the chaotic circumstances surrounding Diana's death has fueled widespread suspicion. Although there were 16 cameras installed in the tunnel where the crash occurred, none of them were operational at the time. A popular theory involves eyewitness testimonies describing a strange flash of light just before the accident. Some witnesses, like Francois Levestre and American tourist Brian Anderson, reported seeing a dazzling flash as Diana's car entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Levestre stated that he saw a flash in the rear-view mirror that could have disoriented the driver. However, inconsistencies in Levestre's testimony, along with his 1989 fraud conviction, have undermined his credibility. His wife also disputed his account, and no other witnesses mentioned seeing any such flash of light. A detailed reconstruction of the accident found no evidence of any spark or flash, concluding that the car lost control before entering the tunnel. Another theory revolves around Diana not wearing her seatbelt on the night of the accident, despite regularly doing so while driving. This raised suspicions of possible sabotage or interference. The 26-minute delay in transporting Diana to the hospital also sparked controversy, leading some to suspect intentional delays in the emergency response. Finally, in 2013, a former soldier of the British Royal Airborne Regiment SAS, known as Soldier N, claimed that the SAS was involved in orchestrating Diana's death. This statement emerged during the trial of another SAS member. In response to these concerns, the United Kingdom launched a separate investigation called Operation Paget to clarify the allegations and suspicions surrounding the death of the Princess of Wales. The investigation initiated by the British police in 2004, about 7 years after the accident, aimed to thoroughly review all conspiracy theories that had emerged since Princess Diana's death in 1997. This inquiry carefully examined all relevant evidence, including a letter Diana had written the events leading up to the crash, as well as the actions of those present and involved in the incident. In 2006, Operation Paget released its official findings. The investigation concluded that there was no evidence supporting any conspiracy theories. Similar to the earlier French investigation operation, Paget confirmed that the cause of the accident was the driver Henri Paul, who was driving under the influence of alcohol and at excessive speed. The investigation found no proof of an assassination plot against Princess Diana, and the crash was regarded as a tragic accident. Despite the official conclusion, many people remain unconvinced and continue to pursue conspiracy theories, particularly citing a letter Diana once wrote expressing her fear of a potential tragedy. Additionally, Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, has contributed to the public's heightened interest in the princess's private life. Paul Burrell worked very closely with Diana since 1987 and was considered her most trusted confidant. Diana once called him her greatest support during difficult times. After Diana's passing, Burrell revealed many private stories and hidden aspects of her life, giving the public a deeper insight into the real Diana beyond the royal glamour. If you find this story interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any more exciting videos. Now let's continue the story together. Burrell's revelations shed light on the loneliness and isolation Diana experienced despite being one of the most famous people in the world. She often felt unable to fully trust those around her, which contributed to the eating disorders she struggled with throughout her life. Burrell also revealed details about the turbulent marriage between Diana and Prince Charles, showing that behind the globally watched wedding were private difficulties and challenges Diana had to face. These insights helped the public better understand the hardships the Princess of Wales endured in her life and marriage. Even after more than 2 decades, Princess Diana's legacy lives on, surpassing any royal title. She was not only a fashion icon and a devoted mother, but also a beacon of hope for the forgotten and marginalized in society. From holding the hands of AIDS patients during a time of global stigma to her campaigns against landmines, Diana set a new standard for compassion and social responsibility. She inspired women to live authentically, love boldly, and face pain with courage. If you're interested in the real stories behind the royal glamour, don't forget to like and share the video and leave your thoughts in the comments below to help spread the truth to more people. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for the latest videos about the lives, secrets, and hidden sides of the royal family. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Hello everyone! Everything changed inside Windsor Castle when Princess Anne delivered a sealed letter containing a final request from King Charles. Upon hearing the contents, Prince William, the heir to the throne, completely broke down. So what was the request that could break a future king? Join us as we explore the truth behind this shocking moment and what it means for the future of the royal family. A big question before we begin: was King Charles's move to bet his future on Catherine a genius or a gamble? Let us know what you think. Comment 1 if you think it was genius and 0 if it was a gamble. Now enjoy the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to decode the royal secrets together. King Charles's final request was unexpected. When Princess Anne opened the sealed letter from King Charles, no one in the room was prepared for what it contained. Everyone assumed the message would focus on Prince William, the next in line to the throne. After all, it had always been that way, but King Charles, even in his final moments, went off script. The letter was not about William, but about Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. As Anne read the words aloud, the room fell into stunned silence. The senior royals, who had witnessed decades of tradition unfold before them, sat there with wide eyes. Prince William himself looked stunned, not out of jealousy or embarrassment, but because he knew this moment would redefine everything. It was as if history were being rewritten right there in the drawing room at Windsor Castle. Catherine had always been revered by the public, elegant, poised, graceful under pressure. But this was different. It was more than admiration. King Charles's final message recognized her as essential to the future of the monarchy. Not just William's wife, not just a future princess, but a force in her own right. In the letter, Charles described Catherine as the true heart of the modern monarchy. He praised her quiet strength, her ability to connect with people, and her calm presence in the family's darkest moments. He called her the Royal Compass, a phrase that reportedly brought Princess Anne to tears. The letter made it clear that the survival and prosperity of the monarchy depended on her as much, if not more, than the heir. The message shattered the assumptions that for centuries succession planning had focused on males' bloodlines and birthrights. King Charles III's words about Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, marked a significant and profound shift in the way the modern monarchy should be viewed. It was a clear recognition that the stability and vitality of the royal family in today's turbulent world requires more than traditional titles or formal ceremonies. It requires public trust, genuine warmth, and someone with whom the public can feel genuinely close and approachable. In Charles's eyes, Catherine has been playing this important role brilliantly, becoming an indispensable factor in the future of the royal family. What made King Charles's reference to Catherine so powerful was that it was not sentimental or purely personal, but strategic and visionary. King Charles had long observed how Catherine handled everything from intense media pressure and relentless scrutiny to tumultuous family scandals, all of which she handled with poise, grace, and competence. He saw that Catherine had become the most trusted figure in the monarchy in the eyes of the public, especially among the younger generation, a key factor for the future survival and development of the royal family. By making Catherine the focus of his final message before abdicating, King Charles was not trying to sideline King William. On the contrary, he was actually strengthening William's position by affirming his partner's value and indispensable role. What he was trying to convey was, "This is your partner not just in marriage, but in the monarchy. Trust her and follow her lead." It was a meaningful entrustment, encouragement, and clear instruction from a seasoned king to his successor. The message also hints at a future monarchy that will be very different from what we know. It will be less rigid in its rules and rituals, more emotionally intelligent in its approach to the public, and more focused on partnerships between the royals and the public than on maintaining traditional hierarchies. Charles's words were not just a tribute to Catherine, but also a guidepost, charting a new course for the royal family in a new era, emphasizing the importance of understanding and connection. Yet for all the calculated public moments, there were also some heartbreakingly private and honest ones. There were no cameras to capture them, no crowds to witness the future king collapse under the weight of the burdens he was about to assume. But in the quiet private sanctuary of Windsor Castle, William's mental breakdown was raw, and deeply human. It was not a dramatic outburst or a public royal scandal. It was a quiet storm, a pain so profound and hidden that it implied the weight of centuries of expectation weighing on his shoulders. The moment demonstrated that the burden of the crown was not just a political or ceremonial responsibility, but also a huge psychological and emotional challenge for those who bore it. The recognition of Catherine's role not just as a partner, but as a pillar of strength for William and the monarchy itself underscored her importance amid the invisible and visible pressures facing the royal family. Catherine was not just part of the royal family, she was the future and the pillar of strength for generations to come. It began with a breath as Princess Anne read King Charles's final request. William's breath caught in his throat. For a few moments, he didn't move. Then his shoulders slumped, as if the full weight of the British monarchy had suddenly fallen upon him. His hands gripped the polished mahogany table until his knuckles turned white. Tears welled in his eyes, not tears of grief, but of something deeper: pressure, identity, and confusion, all colliding at once. This event is not only a family story, it also reshaped an entire dynasty. So what kind of future royal family do you want to see? The traditional model with a king as the center of power, comment number 2, or the modern partnership model where William and Catherine shoulder the burden together, comment number 5. Let us know your choice. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any developments in this new chapter of history. This was not about being ignored, but about facing a truth for which he was unprepared. William had spent 41 years being shaped by tradition. Every step of his life, his education, his military training, his public service, had been directed toward a single role: the next king. He had been taught to lead, to maintain the throne, to carry on the royal legacy. But now, in his father's final message, the spotlight had subtly shifted not to him, but to Catherine, and while there was no bitterness, there was a quiet shattering of expectations. The story he had believed in, the story he had been told all his life, was changing in real time. What happens when everything you've prepared for suddenly looks different? That's what William faced in that room. It wasn't jealousy, it wasn't resentment, it was the shock of realizing that tradition was giving way to change and that his wife was being seen as the center of that change. The pressure was not just personal, it was institutional. The monarchy, now over 1,000 years old, was evolving faster than anyone had imagined. And William, who thought he had time to grow into his role, now saw a future where he wasn't leading alone or even completely at the front. He was standing beside the person the world, and now his father, saw as its anchor. And then there was Catherine, who did not flinch, did not cry, did not whisper. But she moved closer to William and placed a steady hand on his shoulder, which was all she needed to do. Her presence was enough. Sometimes the greatest form of support was silence. Catherine's calm did not come from indifference. It came from strength. She was always steady, but in that moment her calm became her strength. While the others in the room were swept away by emotion, she stood firm as a pillar, silently reminding William that he had nothing to lose. He was sharing in something greater. The future of the royal family may lie in a shared throne, not a single dynasty. Queen Elizabeth's prophetic vision as the royal family sat in stunned silence. After hearing King Charles's final request, Princess Anne quietly reached for a second envelope. Unlike the official letter from the king, which was solemnly embossed and sealed with red wax, this envelope was smaller, simpler. It bore the late Queen Elizabeth II's signature handwriting and the unmistakable air of something deeply personal. It was a handwritten note filed away years before her death in September 2022. Queen Elizabeth II, with the experience and insight of someone who has witnessed decades of royal ups and downs, left a meaningful comment about Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. She will be the pillar that holds them all up. It is worth noting that this prediction was not intended for the central figures often mentioned, such as Queen Camilla, Princess Anne, or even the future King William. This comment was recorded many years before King Charles's health declined, before the question of succession became urgent, and long before Catherine's role began to change significantly. This was not a whim, but a quiet prediction demonstrating the Queen's deep understanding of what is needed to maintain the stability of the monarchy. The Queen's choice was not based on personal feelings or blood ties, but on careful objective observation. She had watched Catherine through years of intense public scrutiny, family turmoil, and ever-changing royal expectations. In all this, Catherine remained remarkably calm, graceful, and steady. Perhaps the Queen recognized in Catherine a special ability to handle pressure without flinching, a rare and essential quality for someone who would take on such a great responsibility. One of the most striking qualities that Catherine has shown is her incredible resilience and resilience. Despite the tabloid media storms, the tumultuous departure of Meghan and Harry, and other family tensions, Catherine has always remained calm and unfazed. She has maintained elegance and poise in all situations, demonstrating an extraordinary inner strength. Queen Elizabeth, who has endured countless challenges throughout her reign, must have appreciated this ability to stand firm in the storm in Catherine. She understands that royal titles may be given, but true stability is best revealed in chaos. Furthermore, the Queen may have seen in Catherine an unwavering dedication to royal duties and responsibilities. Catherine has always demonstrated professionalism, diligence in public engagement, and a clear commitment to her role within the royal family. This stability, combined with her ability to connect with the public in a genuine way, has helped to strengthen the image of the monarchy. These are traits that Queen Elizabeth II, who is known for her lifelong commitment to service, would certainly value and trust. Catherine not only performs her duties, but also brings a steadfastness and reliability that the Queen sees as fundamental to maintaining the institution. Queen Elizabeth's prediction of Catherine as a pillar was not a sentimental favor, but the result of a keen observation of a woman who had demonstrated extraordinary character. She saw in Catherine the resilience, adaptability, dedication, and a solid temperament to face the greatest challenges. In the uncertain future of the royal family, Catherine has proven herself to be a stabilizing factor, a solid support for the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, just as the Queen saw and believed long ago. She saw Catherine's ability to soften difficult moments, to follow royal protocol while remaining modern. She watched her raise a young family, support William with quiet strength, and never let the pressures of the palace overshadow her role as wife and mother. These were not just nice traits, they were survival traits for a modern monarchy. And then came Princess Anne's moment. As the weight of both messages settled in the room, Anne looked directly at Catherine, not William. With the kind of conviction that only Anne could muster, she said Catherine was born to play this role. There was no dramatic hesitation, no need to argue. Anne's words were simple but decisive. She had served 3 generations of royals and knew what true leadership looked like. Catherine's power was not manufactured or media-trained, it was real. Anne had seen it in the way she listened, the way she acted, and the way she never let the spotlight overshadow her purpose. In a family where every move was watched, authenticity was the rarest currency, and Catherine had it in abundance. With Anne's endorsement and Queen Elizabeth's prophetic note, the message is now undeniable. Catherine is not just part of the monarchy, she is at its heart. Not by title, but by conviction. Long before she walked the halls of palaces or graced the covers of magazines around the world, Catherine Middleton lived a life that could be described as quietly ordinary by royal standards. Raised in the lush countryside of Berkshire, she grew up in a middle-class family built on warmth, work ethic, and dignity. Her parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, built their business from scratch, teaching their children the value of hard work rather than privilege. Catherine's upbringing was not flashy or attention-seeking. It was built on foundations that many would recognize: practicality, common sense, courtesy, and respect for others, regardless of status. These were not just family values. They became guiding principles for the future Duchess of Cambridge. And in many ways, it was this normality that became her greatest strength. Before she wore the crown, Catherine carried herself with a confidence that was earned, not given, and that made all the difference. During her years at Marlborough College, Catherine was never the loudest voice in the room or the center of any social circle, but those who knew her described her as dependable, thoughtful, and quietly confident. She excelled in group work, not because of the limelight, but because people could trust her to get the job done with grace and composure. Even then, there was something unshakable about her. But her real turning point came at the University of St. Andrews. It wasn't just where she studied art history, it was where she met Prince William. While the media likes to paint it as a fairy tale moment, the truth was much more realistic. They met as students equals friends first, and then a relationship later. There was no script, no grand plan, just a natural, evolving relationship. The future of monarchy did not begin with a crown. It began with a cup of coffee between two classmates. And from there, something extraordinary blossomed. Catherine never pretended to be someone else, even under the watchful eyes of the royal family. She remained true to herself. No scandals, no tabloid battles, no image games, just consistency. A rare quality in royal circles and greatly appreciated by those around her. Her relationship with William was allowed to develop without rushing. The couple dated for nearly a decade before marrying, a decision that gave them both time to grow, adjust, and truly understand each other. It also gave Catherine time to understand what life inside the royal family would entail. But the most remarkable thing about Catherine's journey is not just how far she has come, but how she has not lost herself along the way. In a world of roles and rituals, Catherine never stopped being Kate, and that is why people trusted her. She entered the royal family not with a bang, but with quiet tenacity. She did not seek to change the monarchy overnight. Instead, she slowly became the change through patience, integrity, and absolute trustworthiness. Her rise was not overnight, but a gradual process shaped by authenticity. The wedding was a revelation of strength on April 29, 2011. More than 2.5 billion people around the world watched the wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton. But what unfolded at Westminster Abbey was more than a royal spectacle. It was a turning point, not just for the couple, but for the monarchy. After years of tabloid turmoil, public distrust, and generational change, the moment offered something rare: hope. It was not just a wedding, but a quiet reintroduction of dignity and continuity to an ancient institution. It looked like a fairy tale, but it revealed something far more powerful: Catherine's unshakable strength. When Catherine stepped out of her carriage at Westminster Abbey on her wedding day, the world held its breath. Her stunning wedding dress, designed by Sarah Burton, instantly became a fashion icon and was admired around the world. However, what really captured everyone's attention was not just the splendor of her dress, but the bride's incredible poise. From the moment Catherine's feet touched the historic stone steps leading to the Abbey, she exuded a rare, calm poise and focus that left a lasting impression on all who witnessed it. Catherine's walk down the aisle was neither hurried nor hesitant. Each step was carefully measured, with her posture straight and her face serene, exuding an inner confidence. She was not overwhelmed by the weight of history that was everywhere in Westminster Abbey, but seemed to blend into it naturally. Despite her lack of aristocratic background in front of royals, world leaders, and a television audience of billions, Catherine displayed a quiet strength that made everyone feel that she truly belonged here, an indispensable part of this grand historical picture. Inside the convent, amidst the constant flash of cameras and the eyes of the world, Catherine's presence remained unshaken. There was no sign of confusion, no worried glances, no hesitation. She seemed completely in control of her emotions and exuded absolute confidence. That calm and composure was not only that of a bride on her big day, but also that of someone deeply aware of the great responsibility she was about to take on, a role that far exceeded that of a bride. Catherine did not simply assume the role of a bride entering a royal marriage, but she accepted the responsibility of a future princess with all the grace and full awareness of what lay ahead. She understood that this was not just a romantic kiss on the balcony of Buckingham Palace or a day of fun, but the beginning of a lifelong mission. This maturity and understanding was evident in her every gesture and look, showing that she was well prepared to face the challenges and expectations of royal life. The wedding day was not only a personal milestone, but also a powerful testament to Catherine's character. With composure and self-control, she demonstrated that she was not just a choice of love, but a resilient individual capable of playing a vital role in the future of the British monarchy. It was a defining moment not only for Catherine herself, but also a promising sign of the stability and grace she would bring to the royal family in the years to come. When she and William emerged onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace for their long-awaited kiss, it was like a modern fairy tale. But the moment also marked the beginning of something much more serious. From that day on, Catherine's life would be scrutinized, her every move analyzed, and she was ready. The power on display at the wedding was not spontaneous. It was the result of years of quiet preparation. Catherine had faced the media pressure long before her wedding day, and instead of flinching, she learned to manage it with poise. She never sought the spotlight, but she never appeared to be fazed by it either. Whether it was paparazzi lurking in the bushes or intrusive tabloid headlines, she handled it all with dignity. And ever since, her calm composure has become one of the royal family's greatest strengths. After a lavish wedding watched by billions, many expected a fairy tale sequel. But for Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, real life as a royal began immediately, and it wasn't all tiaras and garden parties. The transition from private citizen to full-time working royal comes with intense pressure and constant public scrutiny. The wedding dress comes off, the cameras turn off, and the real work begins. Since becoming a royal, Catherine's every move has been analyzed. What she wears, how she walks, what she says, and even the way she looks at William have suddenly become topics of global discussion. A simple smile can make headlines. A slightly different outfit choice can start debates on social media. Royal watchers study her body language. Tabloids compare her to Princess Diana, often unfairly. Even shopping trips become front-page news. But behind the glitz and flash, daily life is far from glamorous. Being a royal is not about fame, it's about stamina. Catherine quickly found herself immersed in royal duties, ceremonial duties that required long hours, often with little rest. Life as a senior royal is not all about glamorous public appearances. It is also a constant stream of engagements where Catherine must shake hands with hundreds of strangers, maintain impeccable manners, and engage in countless polite conversations, many of which can become a blur by the end of the day. Official trips across multiple continents require a grueling schedule, constant travel, and millions of eyes watching every move. These pressures are an unavoidable part of the role, requiring the Duchess of Cambridge to be both patient and professional. However, the most difficult moments often came when the cameras were not rolling. Away from the limelight, Catherine had to adapt to a life with little privacy and little real rest. There were probably quiet moments of doubt, exhaustion, and pressure, especially as she balanced her intense royal duties with raising a young family under the constant scrutiny of the world. Her ability to endure and overcome these unseen challenges is a testament to her mental strength. What makes Catherine's transformation and adaptation truly remarkable is how quietly and discreetly she has handled all of this. There have been no dramatic speeches that have caused a stir, no controversial interviews that have made headlines, and no attempts to dramatically or overnight change the monarchy. Instead, she has led a quiet revolution, a subtle shift in how the royal family connects with the public through her own example and consistent actions. Catherine's influence has grown not through bold statements or headline-grabbing moves, but through a calm consistency in her actions. The stability and confidence she exudes has created a strong sense of trust in the public. Her charitable work, particularly in the areas of early childhood development and mental health, demonstrates a deep understanding of the long-term impact these issues have on society. She doesn't just go through the motions, she puts her heart into what she does, making meaningful changes in her community. Catherine's choice to quietly contribute and adapt rather than complain or collapse has defined her place in the modern royal family. She has become a model of resilience and service, a person who balances tradition and innovation with deftness. It is these qualities, along with her ability to remain calm and reliable under pressure, that have helped her cement her role as a pillar for the future of the monarchy, just as Queen Elizabeth II predicted. She didn't chase headlines, she made real change, visiting hospitals, meeting parents, and lending her name and time to causes that were often overlooked. Her leadership style was subtle but forceful. She didn't demand attention, but she always commanded respect. Staff, other royals, and the public all recognized her reliability, thoughtful approach, and deep sense of duty. Over time, not only did Catherine integrate into the monarchy, but the monarchy itself began to reshape itself around her strengths. She didn't just adapt to royal life, she refined it. In an era when public opinion about the monarchy fluctuated wildly, Catherine became a symbol of stability, not by force, but by example, not by privilege, but by presence. As traditions evolved and roles changed, her steady hand and quiet grace became a model for what the modern royal family could be. Catherine's rise to power didn't just shape her personal legacy, it helped reshape the entire structure of the monarchy. For centuries, royal leadership had been defined by male heirs' titles and a rigid sense of duty. But Catherine's journey demonstrated that power, stability, and leadership could come from anyone regardless of title or tradition. Her influence did not come from blood. It came from her actions, from how she carried herself, not just where she stood. This was a sea change. It showed that monarchies were beginning to value partnership over hierarchy. William may have been the future king, but Catherine was clearly more than a supportive wife. She was his partner in duty, in leadership, and in public trust. The crown may rest on one head, but its weight is shared, and Catherine bore it with grace. Catherine's role also changed the way people viewed the monarchy. She acted as a bridge connecting royal traditions with modern values. She did not abandon the past, but she helped the monarchy speak to today's world. She showed that royalty could be both respectful and approachable, both formal and human. That balance is rare and important, especially now when institutions everywhere are under pressure to remain relevant. Catherine brought a modern power that was not loud or demanding. It was calm, steady, and trustworthy. She also became a stabilizing force within the royal family itself. When Catherine stepped out of her vintage Rolls-Royce in front of Westminster Abbey on April 29, 2011, the world literally held its breath. The eyes of 1 billion people were fixed on the future bride of the British royal family. Her stunning ivory wedding dress, designed by Sarah Burton of Alexander McQueen, instantly became a timeless icon. But it wasn't just the sheer beauty of the dress that really captured the world's attention. It was Catherine's incredible poise and confidence. From the moment her feet touched the cobblestones leading to the altar, she exuded calm collectedness and focus. She was unfazed by the immense pressure of a historic event, a moment that millions of people were watching every minute of. Catherine's walk down the aisle of Westminster Abbey was neither hurried nor hesitant, but each step was carefully measured, leisurely, and confident. Her erect posture, serene face, and steady eyes exuded an inner beauty and incredible spiritual strength. She did not seem overwhelmed by the long and important history that weighed on every stone and wall of the Abbey, but instead, she blended into it naturally and consciously. For someone of no noble birth standing before a host of senior members of the royal family, heads of state, and billions of television viewers required extraordinary courage. Catherine displayed a quiet strength that made everyone feel clearly that she not only belonged there, but was born to take on this role. Inside the Abbey, amidst the solemn atmosphere and the thousands of flashbulbs constantly flashing, and with the whole world watching on small screens, Catherine's presence remained steady and steadfast. There was no stuttering during her vows, no anxious glances seeking reassurance, and not the slightest hint of hesitation. She was completely in control of her emotions and the situation, displaying a rare composure under extreme pressure. Catherine did not simply assume the role of a bride on the most important day of her life. She also took on the enormous responsibility of a future princess, with all the grace, intelligence, and full awareness of what lay ahead. The bride Catherine understood that this moment was not just a romantic kiss on the balcony of Buckingham Palace to the cheers of the crowd. It was the beginning of a lifelong mission, a long journey full of challenges and responsibilities for the royal family and the people. This maturity, understanding, and deep sense of responsibility was clearly demonstrated in her every gesture and every look throughout the ceremony. It showed that Catherine was mentally prepared to face the enormous expectations and constant challenges of royal life. That wedding day for Catherine was not only a major personal milestone, but also a testament to her character and character. With absolute calm and self-possession, she demonstrated that she was not just a woman chosen by love, but also a resilient, capable individual ready to take on a vital role in the future of the British monarchy. It was a defining moment not only for Catherine herself, but also foreshadowed the future of stability, grace, and strength that she would bring to the royal family for decades to come. A request has been made, and the history of the British royal family has turned a new page. King Charles has given Catherine the soul of the future dynasty, where power no longer comes from blood, but from resonance and trust. Is this the key to their survival? Leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to decode this great story together. Thank you, and see you in the next pages of history. Welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into a deeply emotional moment that left many in tears. In a heartfelt conversation, King Charles revealed a shocking truth about Prince Harry's real mother, leaving him unable to hold back his emotions. What exactly happened during this special meeting? Stay tuned to uncover the secret behind Prince Harry's tears and the story that's never been told before. Have you ever heard any rumors about the British royal family? If yes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Enjoy the video to uncover this shocking secret, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. A royal letter once sealed in sorrow and buried in silence has finally been revealed. It is the final message from King Charles to Prince Harry. An eerie phrase emerges from the letter: "I cannot tell you, not because I don't love you, but because the truth will break you." This is the moment when Harry learns the truth about his biological mother. Historians are stunned, the palace is in turmoil, and Harry must finally face the truth he never wanted to know. This is not only a family secret, but also the most carefully guarded lie of the crown. The words in the letter shattered everything. It had been hidden, forgotten, and sealed away for nearly 4 decades in the royal archives. But when the letter was revealed, it not only raised countless questions, but also cracked the foundation of royal history. One single line sent shockwaves. He will never be hers, not truly, because from the very beginning, he was never hers. These words are cold, profound, and carry a direct meaning. Historians quickly dated the letter to the mid-1980s when Prince Harry was still a child, around 1985 or 1986. This was a period of political turmoil with growing public pressure and the gradual unraveling of Charles and Diana's marriage. The letter was sent to a longtime friend of Charles, possibly a royal cleric or a spiritual advisor. Whoever it was, it's clear that Charles trusted them enough to confide in them what he could never voice publicly. Now, as the palace refuses to comment, the mystery deepens. Why was the letter concealed? Why was it made public at this moment? And most importantly, who is Charles referring to when he makes that statement? If it's not Diana, everything could change. When the letter was revealed, all eyes were drawn to this weighty remark. But to truly understand its meaning, we must ask, who is she and what did Charles really intend to convey? The phrase, "he will never be hers," may sound simple, but in the secretive world of the royal family, nothing is ever that straightforward. The question that now haunts everyone is, who is Charles referring to, and why say this at such a moment of crisis? Some believe this refers to Diana, but historians argue otherwise. They suggest the language in the letter could hint at something far more complex. Perhaps a surrogate, a secret third party, or even a biological mother unknown to the public. This becomes even more suspicious when we consider the timing of the letter. It wasn't written in the 1990s when the relationship between Charles and Diana had exploded into public view, but rather during the quiet tension before the public ever knew about the breakdown of their marriage. Did Charles truly think this way at that time? Who was the letter written to, a trusted advisor within the Church of England, or perhaps someone closer like the successor to Lord Mountbatten? The theory that Harry may have been born via a surrogate, once dismissed and silenced for decades, has resurfaced. This idea was ridiculed in the past, but now, with the revelation of the letter, it no longer seems impossible. Perhaps this is the truth the royal family has been trying to conceal for all these years. The words in the letter have changed everything suddenly. What was once unthinkable now not only makes sense, but also seems far too fitting. In the early 1980s, Diana was hospitalized several times under vague circumstances, officially due to stress or private health issues. However, insiders now reveal there were discussions concerning her fertility concerns. Quiet conversations between doctors, aides, and royal advisors. If Charles and Diana were as estranged at that time as many suggest, and a public heir was needed, could the crown have arranged for a surrogate behind closed doors? The palace holds power and motive. All it requires is secrecy. Charles's words, "not hers from the very beginning," take on a different meaning now. When considering a surrogate, Diana may have been asked to raise the child playing the role of a mother without any biological connection. This could explain the letter and her long silence. Royal experts now suggest that this theory is no longer just speculation, but may explain the emotional distance, even the lifelong sense of disconnection that Harry has always felt. If this theory holds true, if Diana is not Harry's biological mother, What would this mean about the woman we thought we knew? Was she part of the secret, or was she the one safeguarding it? Her silence may not have been a coincidence. It could very well be the entire essence of Princess Diana's silence. Diana was known for her love, compassion, and devotion to her sons. But when it comes to Harry, that love now raises an emotional question. Was she his biological mother, or was she the protector he chose to have? Diana's love for Harry was real. That part is clear. A palace staff member recalled, "She protected Harry more than anyone I've ever seen, not just with motherly love, but as if she were shielding him from something we couldn't see." Perhaps she wasn't just protecting Harry from the press, but also from the truth. If Diana knew the truth and took it to her grave, the past could be buried deeper than anyone ever imagined. But the timeline surrounding Harry's birth raises even more questions. Harry's birth in September 1984 led the public to believe that Diana and Charles were a young, smiling royal couple fulfilling their duties. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Now the timeline is being scrutinized closely. Many royal watchers point out suspicious gaps in the public record. Early in 1984, Diana had a sudden hospital visit that went unreported with no images, no public explanation. When asked, palace aides simply said she was unwell, but they never specified how. Then there is the question of James Hewitt, long rumored to be Harry's father. Hewitt has always denied this, claiming he only met Diana after Harry was born. That may be true, and in fact it supports a much deeper hidden story about Harry's origins, perhaps not about the father, but the mother. Currently, many royal archives from the 1980s are being reviewed, and there are quiet reports suggesting that some documents may have been replaced or altered with dates around the time of Harry's birth. A former palace aide said, "We always followed procedure unless told otherwise. It's possible that in the past the royal family requested the alteration of certain documents to conceal the truth in order to protect the reputation of the family and avoid questions about Harry's true origins." That protocol likely included covering up the truth about who carried Harry. As these documents are quietly reviewed, a rumor resurfaces. Has Harry ever had a DNA test? Did he want answers but never received them? The next layer of this royal mystery could lie in something very small yet incredibly powerful. The rumor of a DNA test has circulated for years, with whispers from palace insiders and hints in biographies. Some claim quietly that Harry had requested a test, but never saw the results. Now, with the letter being revealed, these whispers are growing louder. Some say a private test was conducted in the early 2000s, quietly carried out at the royal labs. A former security staff member claims that a sealed envelope was sent to Clarence's house. No one knows what happened after that. Did Charles see the results? Did Harry ever see them? If the results were concealed, it raises a troubling possibility that someone was trying to protect not only the monarchy, but also Harry himself. Because if the truth is that Charles is the father, but Diana is not the mother, the royal narrative would change, and Harry's entire sense of identity would be altered. However, there is another possibility. Charles's letter may have never been meant to confirm anything, but merely to sow enough doubt to create an emotional distance, a quiet way of saying, "I know, and I cannot change that." One historian remarked, "The letter feels like guilt turned to ink." If that is the truth, the dilemma surrounding the DNA may never be resolved, as the real damage is emotional. As whispers turn into questions and silence transforms into suspicion, one man remains at the center of the storm: King Charles. Because if this story is about Harry's identity, it is also about the secret of a father and perhaps the hidden anguish he carries, the hidden pain of King Charles. Charles has always appeared calm and controlled, but beneath the rigid upper lip and royal tradition lies a man who bears a profound personal burden. The letter now brought to light is not just a historical footnote, but perhaps the rawest glimpse into the inner turmoil of Charles we've ever seen. He will never be hers. Not truly, because from the very beginning he was never hers. Read that line not with doubt, but with sorrow. What if it isn't meant to be cruel, but is in fact a confession? If that's Charles trying to put into words what he's struggled with for years, many close to the royal family have noted that the relationship between Charles and Harry has always been strained. Public events unfolded formally but lacked warmth, and the colder tone became more apparent as Harry grew older. Some attribute this to generational differences, but insiders see something else: emotional avoidance. A former palace aide reflected, "Charles seemed to never know how to emotionally connect with Harry as if he wanted to, but didn't know whether he should." If Charles knew that Diana wasn't Harry's biological mother, that emotional wall might be his way of coping with the pain, distancing himself from something he couldn't speak of. And now, as King Charles, he's more than ever the center of attention. But what if the crown isn't the heaviest burden on his shoulders? What if it's this secret? A silent pain that has lasted for decades, but Charles isn't the only one who feels the weight of this mystery. What do you think about this secret? Is King Charles hiding a painful truth about Harry? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know, if you were Charles, would you keep this secret or reveal the truth? Don't forget to hit like and share this video. From the very beginning, Harry showed signs that he knew something was different. Even before the memoir, before the headlines, before Meghan, there was a boy searching for something. Something that no one could name until now, the lifelong sense of difference Harry has felt. He called himself the Spare. But what if that title isn't just about royal rank, but about identity? From childhood to adulthood, Harry seems to have always lived in the shadow of something undefined. Now the final pieces may be falling into place in the reserve. Harry described feelings of isolation, of being lost, even in his own home, not just in the media, but at family dinners during royal tours and in private moments that should have been warm. A family friend once said, "He laughs the loudest, but also seems the loneliest." Teachers recall Harry asking questions that other children didn't, not just about the world, but about himself. Where do I come from? Why do I feel so separate? At the time, it sounded like typical teenage anxiety. But now, it seems more like a quiet call for truth. Then came Meghan. She didn't just love Harry, she listened to him and encouraged him to seek out the difficult questions he had always been asking. Meghan is said to have told a close friend, "Now he wants answers deeper than just his lineage." Could this lifelong sense of difference stem from a biological issue? If Harry was raised by a mother who wasn't truly his, and has felt that something has been missing throughout his life, then the pain we see isn't rebellion, it's instinct. If Harry's instinct is telling him the truth, then the silence from the palace becomes deafening. While Harry and Meghan search for answers, Buckingham Palace is doing the opposite, fumbling behind closed doors, consulting legal teams, and preparing to manage the fallout. What are they truly afraid of? The silence of the royal family, their fear. The letter has been revealed, the timeline is unraveling, and Harry's questions are louder than ever. But inside Buckingham, the palace remains in absolute silence. Silence without statements, without explanations. Just quiet corridors, tense meetings, and growing panic. Behind that silence, insiders say it's fear. Why? Because this isn't just about one letter. It's about what else could be out there. A royal source confirms that a private crisis management team has been reactivated, similar to the team used during Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah. Their new task to control leaks, manage the fallout, and uncover the original documents. There are whispers now that more letters may have been sent to Diana, to William, or even to Harry himself. If just one more document surfaces, it could be a disaster, not only emotionally but legally, as questions about inheritance titles and royal succession laws could be raised. The legal team is reportedly examining the royal family's ability to conceal documents under the Official Secrets Act. British media are under pressure to avoid publishing any new information, but foreign media, independent investigators, and international tabloids are not bound by the same rules. Still, the truth is beginning to leak out. A royal aide recently said offhandedly, "They're not worried about the truth. They're worried about losing control of the truth." And that truth could be bigger, darker, and more damaging than anyone expected. Because this is no longer just about Harry, it's about the future of the monarchy itself, and that future may depend on one person standing between the past and the crown. Prince William has known the truth. He has kept it hidden all these years. But if he knows and remains silent, then it's no longer just a family secret. It's a betrayal that could tear them apart forever. The pressure of knowing this truth, Prince William, the heir and the face of the modern monarchy, has been raised from birth to lead. But after this letter, his silence is beginning to attract attention and suspicion. Because if this secret was known within the palace, William may have known for a long time. The relationship between William and Harry has always been complicated, yes, but often distant, protective, yet still guarded over the years. Harry has hinted that William always followed the script. Does that script include the secret behind Harry's birth? And if so, how long has William kept that secret? Sources close to the palace suggest that Charles may have confided in William as he reached adulthood, likely during the time Harry began to rebel against royal duties. An insider revealed that there were serious conversations between father and eldest son, and after those conversations, William changed. He became colder and more guarded. If William knew why, didn't he tell Harry loyalty to the monarchy, perhaps out of fear of the consequences? Or did he believe that protecting the crown was more important than protecting the truth about his brother? Now, with this letter being made public, William's silence could be seen as a betrayal not only to Harry, but also to their brotherly relationship. While William remains silent in London, a storm is brewing across the Atlantic in Montecito, California. Harry and Meghan are facing this truth not with silence, but with action. Behind closed doors, Meghan is said to be urging Harry to uncover the entire truth no matter the cost. Meghan, in the aftermath of Montecito, the release of the letter not only shakes the palace but also rattles the Sussex family. According to sources close to them, Meghan was deeply shaken when she read it, not just because of what it suggests about Diana, but because it confirms many of Harry's suspicions from the very beginning. Meghan has stood by Harry through royal tensions, public scrutiny, and family rejection, but this is different. This is personal. Friends of the couple say that Meghan is now encouraging Harry to go further, consulting legal experts, reaching out to historians, and even pursuing a second memoir focused entirely on identity. An insider in California reveals that they are looking into private DNA experts. Meghan wants him to clarify not just for himself but for their children. The possibility that Archie and Lilibet's bloodline may carry a mystery is not something they take lightly. The family they are building is based on truth, not royal illusions. And in true Meghan style, she may be preparing to help Harry tell the world through a documentary, a podcast, or a new book, perhaps the next chapter in Harry's story, not about leaving the royal family, but about finally understanding where he truly comes from. As Harry digs into his past, one figure remains hauntingly silent, the late Queen Elizabeth II. The woman who reigned through wars, scandals, and abdications, did she know the truth from the beginning? And if she did, was she protecting the monarchy, or was she shielding Harry from something he still couldn't handle? What did Elizabeth know about Queen Elizabeth II, the final gatekeeper of royal secrets for over 70 years? She balanced duty with discretion, but when it comes to this letter and the secret, it suggests that her silence might be the most telling clue, revealing much more than those closest to her ever imagined. In the end, titles no longer hold meaning when trust is lost. As Harry stands on the brink of truth and legacy, one question remains. Will he stay silent to protect the crown, or will he finally speak out to reclaim his story? One thing is certain, the truth has been exposed and the crown will never be the same again. So in a truly emotional moment, Harry couldn't hold back his tears as the truth was finally revealed. Could this be a turning point in his life and his relationship with the royal family? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button if you found this story shocking. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more royal secrets. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Welcome to the channel. Today we will explore a shocking secret of the British royal family, a truth that has been hidden for 30 years, and only now at the age of 43 Prince William has discovered. According to a close source, after learning what King Charles had kept secret for decades, William was completely calm. This is not only a personal shock, but also a step that can change the foundation of the monarchy. In the end, what makes a son a successor to the throne face such a dangerous choice? Let's delve into this painful and secret story. Do you think the British royal family could keep a secret for 30 years? If you believe it, comment 1. If you think it's impossible, leave 0. Don't forget to enjoy the video and leave a sub to support the channel. I will update more shocking royal secrets. One quiet afternoon, Prince William accidentally discovered an old letter while going through the royal archives. It was a letter from Rosalia to King Charles, written shortly after Princess Diana's death. The content of the letter was an instruction to keep her last wishes secret. William was stunned to learn of the existence of his mother's diaries and tapes, something he had not known about for more than 30 years. The biggest shock was the truth did not come from the media or enemies, but from his own father. Why did Charles bury Diana's last words? And what made him so afraid that he had to cover up the truth? In the final months of her life, Diana recorded her emotions in diaries and cassette tapes, private messages to William and Harry. They contained pain apologies and warnings. Her voice, weak but sincere, echoed from the past, shaking William. He had thought he knew everything about his mother's death, but now he knew a part of the truth that had been hidden for too long. That moment left him with a difficult choice: continue to keep silent to protect the royal family, or bravely speak up to give Diana a final say. William faced his father in a closed-door meeting. The atmosphere was heavy as a storm cloud. He came not as an heir, but as a wounded son. "Why don't you trust me enough to tell you this?" he asked. There was no anger, no drama, just raw pain. Charles was reportedly taken aback by his son's candor, and he fell silent, seemingly moved on the verge of tears. Then he gave an answer that hurt William even more. "I just wanted to protect you from your mother's pain." But the answer, meant to be comforting, only made things worse. For William, this wasn't protection. It was control, a mistake that deprived him of his last chance to hear his mother's final words. The tense conversation quickly escalated into a confrontation. Voices rose, emotions spilled. William reportedly pressed, "Who else was involved in that decision?" "Just you." Charles said vaguely, "It's complicated." The room shook according to those close to him, not from the noise, but from all the things that had gone unsaid for decades. One royal aide called the moment a breaking point that had been brewing for years. Because this wasn't just about tapes or secret letters, it was about pain that had never been shared. William left the meeting eyes red and fists clenched, not saying a word to anyone, not even Kate. That night he took the diary and the tapes to his private study, where he stayed until dawn. The confrontation had broken something not just between him and Charles, but within William himself. The man who had stood firm as a model prince now realized that the institution he had always defended had tried to protect him from the very thing he needed most, his mother's voice. And the consequences were more than just emotional, they were transformative. For years, William believed he had done everything right. He had done his duty. He had protected the regime, he had preserved his mother's memory. But after the truth came to light, the tapes, the diaries, the betrayal, something inside him broke. Close friends say William became quiet, his public smile fading behind palace walls. He became absorbed in his own thoughts, telling Kate, "I feel like I've lost my mother all over again." The pain became vivid, as if the funeral had just happened. But this time it was accompanied by anger. William begins to ask, what is Charles really hiding, and why is he so afraid of it? As he digs deeper into the closed files, the picture of the past becomes clearer and more painful than he could have imagined. What he finds is not just information, but the naked truth. Diana speaks with painful honesty about life in the palace, about betrayal, loneliness, and the breakdown of her marriage to Charles. She holds nothing back, not even the moment she realizes Charles has never really left Camilla. She fears for her son's emotional future in a system that has never protected her. For Charles, reading those words would have been disturbing enough, but hearing them in Diana's own voice, preserved forever, would have been a ticking time bomb. So according to insiders, he made the decision not as a mourning ex-husband, but as a future king. He ordered that the tapes, the diary, and the part of Diana's will that related to them be kept secret. The reason given was that their release would further damage the royal family's image. At the time, Charles was under fire while Diana was almost revered as a saint. But in his effort to save the royal family from collapse, Charles has sacrificed something priceless: his son's truth, his healing, and his right to hear his mother's final words. Some believe that Charles feared the tapes would further alienate William and Harry, that Diana's honest words would turn them away from everything he stood for. Ironically, by keeping those words hidden for 30 years, he may have made that happen. Now William is faced with a choice: keep silent, as tradition dictates, or let the world hear his mother's words. For William, the question is no longer what happened, but what now? When he opens Diana's diary, it is not just a piece of paper. It is a box of memories. Her mother's handwriting seems to reach out from the other side of the world. Diana writes not just about public life, but also about her fear of being isolated, misunderstood, and ultimately rejected. She writes about William and Harry, about their boundless love, and the fear that the royal system will swallow them up. William once comforted his mother as a child, saying, "Don't cry, Mummy, I will be your knight." Reading those words decades later broke William. A palace aide said he spent hours in his room with the diary, then simply told Kate, "It was like hearing my mother's voice after all these years." The diary not only brought back memories, it brought clarity. Diana had always wanted her children to know the truth, not the one written in history books or press releases, but her own truth. And now that William had it, What would happen next? The palace began to panic because they knew this was no longer a family secret. As soon as news broke that William had found the tapes and diaries, the corridors of Buckingham fell silent. Then panic. Emergency meetings were called, the press team alerted. The orders were clear control, the flow of information, call it private, confirm, nothing, deny nothing. But behind the scenes there was fear. They feared that what Diana had said would leak, that her emotional tone would overshadow years of work to rebuild the royal image. Some even suggested moving the entire archive elsewhere, but William refused. For him, this was not a relic. It was his mother's last words, and he would not let anyone erase her again. As the palace scrambled to figure out how to respond, something else began to emerge. Something they had not prepared for. Someone else had suspected it all along: Harry. As William began to piece together the truth, he could not help but wonder, did Harry know? For years, Harry had hinted at things that had never been told, had said that the royal family was more interested in control than healing. Now, William began to think perhaps his brother had always felt this way. William, overwhelmed with emotion, contacted Harry for the first time in months, the source said. The call was brief, but ended with the words, "I have something my mother left me. I need to share it with you." The possibility that Diana could reconnect her two sons after years of separation is both sad and hopeful. While the royal family fears the truth being revealed, the two sons may have the very thing that could bring them back together: Diana's voice. But not everyone in the royal family is ready for that truth to be revealed, especially one Camilla. One of the most shocking parts of the tapes is Diana's candid thoughts about Camilla. According to sources, Diana spoke brutally and honestly. She described how Charles's affair haunted her marriage. She felt betrayed, not just as a wife, but as a mother trying to protect her children from scandal. If you were Prince William and found out your father had been hiding a secret for 30 years, would you speak up or keep quiet? Comment number 2. If you would speak up. Number 5. If you chose to stay silent to protect your family. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking stories from the British royal family. There were 3 of us in the marriage, so it was a bit crowded, she once said. An iconic quote from the Panorama interview that many believe says it all. But the tapes go further. Diana was reportedly concerned that Camilla would end up reshaping the royal family in her own image. She worried that her memory would be erased to make way for the woman the public had rejected, and perhaps Diana was right. For since Charles's coronation and Camilla's ascension to the throne, Diana's name has been steadily disappearing from speeches, official portraits, and royal ceremonies. For William, this is deeply personal. Not only has his mother's final message been kept secret, but the woman who caused her the most pain may have benefited from her silence. Camilla's role in the royal family has long been a matter of debate, but now with Diana's words emerging from the shadows, things could change forever. And through it all, there was one person who stood by William. That person was Kate. When the storm of emotions engulfed William, Kate Middleton was there not just as a wife, but as a shield. She was his silent anchor, keeping him grounded as royal politics pulled him in every direction. And when William faced the deepest betrayal of his life, Kate was the first person he turned to. Sources say Kate sat with him for hours as he read Diana's diaries and listened to the tapes. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. Her presence was enough. She held his hand, made him tea, and quietly reminded him that he wasn't alone. But behind that calmness was a quiet anger. Kate was said to have believed the tapes should have been given to William years ago. She encouraged him to face the truth, not to shock, but to heal. But that support came at a cost. The tension between Kate and Camilla, once low-key, is now palpable. One source recalls a public appearance where Camilla said something and Kate just smiled and looked away. It was so cold, the insider said. You could feel the division. Now, with Diana's voice alive and the family divided on both sides of history, Kate and William face a choice. Keep quiet to protect tradition, or speak up and risk it all. The palace may have tried to keep the secret under wraps, but as the rumors of the letters and tapes spread, the public began to boil over. It started with a small leak. A source close to the press told the press that William had discovered hidden parts of Diana's will. Then came details of the diaries, the recordings, the emotional confrontation with Charles. And finally the spark. Diana's voice was back. Social media exploded with the phrase, "Let Diana speak." People demanded transparency. Diana's fans, from generations old to new, flooded social media with photos, quotes, and memories of a woman they believed had been wronged. But this time, the outrage wasn't just directed at the press or past scandals, it was directed at the palace itself. Articles began to appear asking, was Charles trying to protect the royal family or himself? Was Camilla's rise built on the silence of another woman's truth? And the most painful part, William lived 30 years in the dark while someone knew the truth all that time. Public support for Prince William has surged, with many literally calling him a mama's boy. Royal experts say the royal silence only fuels suspicion. With each day that passes without a word from the palace, the specter of Diana becomes more palpable. And now, with millions calling for the tapes and the entire diary to be released, William finds himself at a crossroads. The institution he was born to lead is the one that prevented him from hearing his mother's final words. But is he willing to risk it all to honor her? Inside the palace, the mood has changed. Not just because of the tapes or the diaries, but because William is no longer grieving in silence. He is thinking, planning, and according to royal aides, seriously considering his next move. For months, William has spoken publicly about transparency, accountability, and emotional honesty, especially when it comes to raising his children. But now those words take on a whole new meaning. The future king is not just considering the throne, but himself. Some sources say he is considering releasing parts of the tapes or diaries, not to embarrass his father, but to finally get Diana to speak in her own words. Others say William wants to share them privately with Harry first, as a quiet act of reconciliation before a public storm. Either way, tensions are inevitable. Senior members of the royal family worry that the release could create a generational divide between those clinging to the past and those seeking to reshape the royal future. But for William, perhaps this is no longer about politics. This is about legacy, his mother's legacy. She was silenced. Will he let that happen again? As the public rallies behind him and the royal family prepares for a shakeup, all eyes are on the man who was the boy who walked behind Diana's coffin. He is no longer behind, he is leading. And what happens next could change everything. "30 years after her death, Princess Diana is once again the most powerful voice in the royal family. Her words, once locked in silence, now echo through halls she once distrusted. In the midst of it all, Prince William, the boy she loved most, is now the man who must decide whether her mother's truth will be heard. The royal family has survived scandal, divorce, death, and exile, but this is different. This is not an image crisis or a fleeting media shock. This is an internal confrontation, deep, quiet, and full of conflict. William is no longer the prince who obediently obeys the court, but a son facing a crossroads, continue to keep silent to protect the institution that stifled the voice of his mother, Princess Diana, or have the courage to speak up, accepting to shake the palace with truths that have been buried for decades. Deep down, he knows that what his mother has always wanted is not a settlement but justice, for herself, for her son, and for the future of the royal family. Meanwhile, King Charles became increasingly isolated. He was caught between the pain of the past and the emerging truth. The silent walls of the palace were no longer thick enough to keep the truth from leaking out. William knew this was perhaps the hardest decision of his life, not just because it affected the throne, but because it touched the very roots of honor, family, and legacy. And so he chose to speak up, not to avenge, but to clear, not to break, but to heal. And so, after more than 30 years, the truth has finally been revealed, leaving Prince William with a deep pain and a difficult choice to continue to stay silent or to bravely speak up like his mother did. Whatever the decision, this is certainly a major turning point for the entire royal family. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to update the next developments. The royal family has just announced a shocking update that has captured global attention with a completely unexpected twist. They have revealed surprising news about Camilla, and it's not what people had anticipated. Join us as we explore this significant development and what it could mean for the future of the monarchy. Do you have any friends who are interested in the royal family? If so, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to subscribe to support the channel. At Kensington Palace, the royal scene under the gentle summer breeze seemed like just another routine charity event. Journalists and attendees were prepared for the usual moments. Princess Charlotte's radiant smile, Prince George's graceful wave, and the stunning photos were sure to flood the headlines the following day. But what unfolded before the cameras was anything but ordinary. Prince William, tall, calm, and determined, stepped forward, not with a usual speech, but with a purposeful fire in his eyes. Beside him, Princess Catherine stood quietly and gracefully, her hand gently resting on Charlotte's back, offering subtle support. Prince George held his ground, his gaze carrying a maturity far beyond his years. Then, in a moment that stunned both the nation and the world, Prince William made a declaration that would redefine the future of the royal family. We are stepping into a new chapter, one that honors the past but builds the future with purpose and confidence. Prince William declared, speaking of Queen Elizabeth II, her vision, her legacy, and her hopes for the monarchy. Emotions ran high, and the tears in his eyes told their own story. But it was what he said next that truly took the audience by surprise. My family will take on a larger role in shaping the future, just as the Queen wished. My daughter, Princess Charlotte, will begin her official duties as a representative of the Crown. A gasp rippled through the crowd as reporters scrambled to raise their phones, and even palace officials seemed caught off guard. This wasn't just an announcement. It was a defining moment in royal history. Though too young to be called Queen, Princess Charlotte stepped forward with a quiet confidence that awed many. Behind her stood the unwavering presence of her parents, not just as current leaders, but as a family clearly ready to pass the torch when the time came. There was no statement from King Charles III, no appearance from Queen Camilla, just silence. And that silence resonated more powerfully than any speech. That moment, everything became clear to the world. A shift had occurred in the royal family's power dynamics. Behind closed doors, whispers of the older generation gradually losing their grip on power had been quietly circulating for months, perhaps even years. Subtle changes in royal protocol and a shift in public appearances began to paint a clearer picture. The monarchy was no longer defined solely by reverence for the eternal and mysterious grace of Queen Elizabeth II, but by the emergence of new voices shaping its future. Although King Charles had only recently ascended the throne, the air around him seemed heavy with age the moment the crown was placed on his head. In contrast, William and Catherine were rising powerfully, garnering support not just through their grace, but also through undeniable public backing. Opinion polls consistently ranked them among the most trusted and admired royals. Every public appearance not only drew enthusiastic crowds, but also captured global attention. With each appearance, William and Catherine didn't just persuade the public, they showed they were ready to lead. They brought a fresh energy to the monarchy. While deeply committed to their royal duties, they began to step away from old traditions. However, behind the palace walls, something was quietly brewing. Whispers from royal advisors started to surface, vague enough to be denied, but detailed enough to spark curiosity. Reports indicated that William had been quietly engaging in secret negotiations with high-ranking Commonwealth officials. Unconfirmed sources suggested that Catherine had taken on unofficial advisory positions typically held by more senior royals. There were even rumors that Princess Charlotte, at an astonishingly young age, had participated in media preparedness meetings even before Prince George reached the same stage. While some dismissed these claims, palace officials were watching closely, especially Camilla, who remained steadfast in protecting her standing within the royal family. There were also rumors about the final letters Queen Elizabeth II wrote before her death. Apparently, she wrote private letters to King Charles, Prince William, and even Catherine. While the contents remain a secret, one thing is undeniable. After her passing, William and Catherine acted with far greater decisiveness, confidence, and strategy than Charles and Camilla. On one notable occasion, William faced criticism for skipping an important meeting hosted by King Charles. Instead, he visited a children's cancer treatment unit in Manchester. Remarkably, William's visit garnered more media attention than the King's event in London that day. This was widely seen as a silent yet defiant act. While not an open rebellion, it added to the tension surrounding the line of succession. Although Prince George still topped the succession list, after William, Princess Charlotte's growing influence was subtly changing the royal landscape. Princess Charlotte's increasing presence at public events received widespread praise for her leadership qualities, much like her aunt Princess Diana. Some even speculated about a potential shift in the line of succession, possibly granting Charlotte more influence than initially expected. However, these speculations remained mere rumors and media conjecture without any official confirmation from the royal family. With a series of bold moves, a significant announcement from William, rather than King Charles, sent a clear message to the public. The future of the monarchy had arrived. Though the king was still the official head of state, he was gradually receding into the background. As William and Catherine stepped forward with confidence and purpose, the king's absence from a key event raised concerns about his health and ability to perform his duties. In the weeks leading up to this historic moment, palace insiders revealed that King Charles had become increasingly withdrawn, canceling public engagements reportedly due to exhaustion. Behind closed doors, a silent crisis was unfolding within the royal family as plans and strategies were being quietly but decisively altered. King Charles, known for his meticulous nature and strict adherence to his schedule, began showing signs of instability as his official duties dwindled. Initially, royal advisors dismissed these concerns, with one high-ranking official suggesting the king simply needed rest after a demanding first year. Anywhere William and Catherine appeared, they were met with enthusiastic applause and admiration, a stark contrast to Charles, who often seemed distant and reserved, especially when accompanied by Camilla, who remained a controversial figure within the palace. These tensions escalated as the king clashed with senior advisors over how to manage William's growing public prominence. Rumors circulated that Charles had attempted to reassert his authority through a major tour of the Commonwealth or by attending a high-profile international conference, but all these plans ultimately fell through. Political and practical challenges stood in the way. Then whispers from within the palace emerged, suggesting that Charles was considering abdication, not an immediate resignation, but a gradual transfer of responsibilities to William as part of a monarchy restructuring. According to some sources, this transition process began in the final months of Queen Elizabeth's life, when she encouraged Charles to prepare for a smooth handover of power to William in the coming years. However, Camilla strongly opposed any shift in power that didn't revolve around her and Charles. Both had endured countless scandals and challenges before ascending the throne, and Camilla had waited her entire life to become queen. She wasn't ready to relinquish influence to William and Catherine. Their public ascent seemed a direct challenge to the established royal order, and it was a front she couldn't concede. Yet, despite her resistance, the changes underway were unstoppable. Charles appeared powerless against the wave of change sweeping through the monarchy. Gradually retreating from the public eye, he left a vacuum that William quickly filled with confidence and decisive leadership. A royal family once known for its unity now revealed undeniable divisions. Prominent events, such as the Queen's concert where William, Catherine, and their children commanded the stage, made it clear that the shift in power had decisively occurred. In a historic moment under the soft afternoon light in the Kensington Palace Gardens, the crowd anticipated a routine speech from Prince William, accompanied by the graceful presence of Catherine and their children. But what unfolded next was unforgettable. With calm assurance, William stepped onto the podium, delivering no platitudes or rehearsed gestures. Instead, he began by honoring his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, emphasizing her enduring legacy, dedication to duty, and dignified silence. It was a powerful message, signaling a clear shift in power within the royal family. Wow, a historic moment, right? Prince William didn't just surprise us. He inspired all of us with his heartfelt tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. What are your thoughts on his speech and the shift in power within the royal family? Share your comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest updates. In a stunning moment, Prince William reshaped the vision for the future of the monarchy. Addressing millions of reporters and royal experts, he declared, "Our voices will ignite a new beginning, not by abandoning tradition, but by evolving it. The crown is not a relic, it is a living promise of service, and that promise belongs to the future." This powerful statement marked a decisive turning point for the royal family. Immediately after William turned to his daughter, Princess Charlotte, who always exuded surprising grace, despite her young age. In an unexpected gesture, he gently led Charlotte forward. Princess Charlotte will begin taking on official duties in the coming months. She will join her mother at events, learn the true meaning of service, and ultimately contribute to shaping a new vision for our family and our country, William announced, stunning the audience. The public's reaction was swift and astonished, not just because it was a historic moment, but because of the clear strategic message behind it. Princess Charlotte was not merely being positioned as a passive royal figure. She was being prepared to shoulder significant responsibilities potentially on par with her brother George. Photos from the event quickly went viral, capturing Charlotte standing proudly behind her father. Her modest smile instantly melted hearts, especially across social media. This moment wasn't just about Charlotte. It was a reflection of William's vision to elevate his daughter's public role. He wasn't just acknowledging her potential, but also challenging the long-standing male dominance in royal power. While previous generations might have kept Charlotte in the background, William boldly brought her to the forefront. Beside him, Catherine exuded grace and composure, gently placing a hand on George's shoulder, a subtle reminder that this family was moving forward, united. As the public applauded and editorials praised the royal family's modern vision, the cheers resonated loudly. However, behind the palace walls, there was no tranquility. An underlying storm began to brew. While the world celebrated Princess Charlotte, there was one woman within the royal circle who saw only shadows: Camilla. The moment Princess Charlotte's name was mentioned, Camilla reportedly erupted in fury. Palace sources indicated she saw William's announcement as a direct threat to her legacy and King Charles's. "She's just a child. This is madness," Camilla reportedly exclaimed upon hearing of Charlotte's ascent. What's more, she viewed Charlotte's increasing influence as a challenge to her own authority within the royal family. For decades, Camilla had fought to redefine her image. From a figure scorned by the public to the king's wife, she endured intense media scrutiny, widespread animosity, and the shadow of past scandals. But as Charlotte's star began to rise, Camilla felt her power slipping away, a reality she found hard to accept. Though no longer directly involved, Princess Diana's presence still loomed over every royal decision. Camilla believed her own legacy was firmly established until a single speech by William and Catherine completely rewrote the narrative. In response, Camilla quickly called an emergency meeting with senior palace advisors. Some sources claim she confronted Charles, demanding he release a statement to restore order and reassert the royal hierarchy, but Charles reportedly refused. Tired and frustrated, he merely muttered, "Let it play out. It has already begun." Camilla now felt isolated. Her relationship with the princess and the steadfast guardian of royal traditions had changed, and with her dislike for public displays, she viewed William's statements as thoughtless and disrespectful toward his father. However, for the first time in years, Camilla and Catherine found common ground, not through friendship, but through shared opposition. Together, they aimed to rally senior palace officials, arguing that William's bold move could destabilize the monarchy's carefully constructed public image. But the tide had turned. Staff once loyal to Charles and Camilla began shifting their allegiance to William and Catherine. Foreign ambassadors, especially those with ties to Charlotte's lineage, began contacting Kensington instead of Clarence House. Major media outlets adjusted their tone, portraying William's family as the modern face of the monarchy. Meanwhile, Camilla's anger only intensified. A palace insider recalled her secretly pacing the palace corridors late at night, pounding on doors and making ignored demands, while the princess, calm and composed, retreated to her country retreat. But the truth was clear. The public had chosen a new royal family, William, Catherine, Charlotte, and George. While the media spotlight illuminated Princess Charlotte's ascent and William's bold declaration, few noticed the quiet strategic power play unfolding behind the scenes. Catherine, Princess of Wales, was praised for her natural grace, serene smile, and public elegance. Few knew she had spent years meticulously studying the internal fissures within the palace. Catherine had mastered the subtle rhythm of royal life, playing a long game with unmatched skill. Now her strategy was brilliantly unfolding. Catherine was more than just a wife or a mother. She had become the true architect shaping the future of the monarchy. While Camilla struggled to regain public affection, Catherine had captured genuine adoration. This wasn't a manufactured image, but love born from sincere moments. Every visit to a children's hospital, every shared laugh with an anxious child, and every warm moment with her own children radiated authenticity. This authenticity truly made the difference. Catherine became William's strongest ally, skillfully navigating the storm that erupted in the palace after his announcement. In the following days, Camilla was relentlessly persistent, but Catherine remained silent. When the queen consort confronted her, Catherine didn't respond. Her calm restraint spoke volumes, yet behind closed doors, she was far from passive. Every night she met with William to review public reactions, media coverage, and plan their next moves. Charles's loyal advisors began to gravitate towards William and Catherine. Impressed by the clarity of their vision, it was rumored that Catherine had quietly commissioned public surveys months earlier to gauge support for Charlotte's increasing role. The results showed overwhelming approval for the monarchy's new direction. This wasn't personal ambition, it was a carefully crafted strategy to secure a lasting legacy. Catherine understood that the monarchy couldn't survive by clinging to the past. It had to evolve to remain relevant. In Princess Charlotte, she saw more than just a daughter. She saw the embodiment of the crown's future, Diana's compassion and leadership, Elizabeth's wisdom, and Catherine's quiet strength. Her power wasn't inherited. It was forged through perseverance and proven capability. Catherine's ambition wasn't about glory or control. It was about ensuring stability and continuity for a monarchy her children would be proud to shape, not just inherit. Previously mocked for her middle-class origins, she had far surpassed the role of a ceremonial queen content to stand in the background. She had become the true guardian of the monarchy's future, bringing profound change within the palace walls. As the dust settled, the most unexpected royal revelation in recent history came to light. The future of the monarchy is no longer speculation. Prince William, Princess Catherine, Princess Charlotte, and Prince George stepped forward proudly to show the world what lies ahead. Charlotte, calm and graceful, commanded headlines and captured hearts. Her natural grace and striking resemblance to Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth are undeniable. Her new official duties marked a profound shift from a child to a vital pillar in the crown's next chapter. While Charlotte commanded the spotlight, George remained quiet but observant, displaying the composure of a future king. Despite his youth, his demeanor during the announcement hinted at his developing leadership capabilities. This isn't just about royal duties. It's about a family committed to leading the monarchy with authenticity and humility, not ego. Behind it all, William and Catherine stand firm as the quiet architects of a new royal era. Their presence doesn't just symbolize power, it sends a clear message. The future of the monarchy is no longer solely based on the throne or ancient lineage. One undeniable truth remains: the crown not only endures, but is being reborn, shaped by those who will carry it forward. And that's everything, folks. The royal family just rocked everyone with a shocking announcement about Camilla. What does this mean for the future of the monarchy? Will her influence still shape royal affairs, or is a new era truly beginning? We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates from the royal world. Stay tuned. This story is just beginning.